Dear viewers, what is it to be a choreographer? What does it take to become a choreographer? What all can you do by being a choreographer? To speak about all that I have with me today, a choreographer, Mayuri Upadhya. A very warm welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Did you plan to become a choreographer?
No, definitely not. I think it's more or less my calling.
You started dancing from the time you were 6 years old.
Yes, since a very young age, and even before I started training officially in a classical form or any other form for that matter, I always used to give free performances for anyone who would come home.
Okay.
So everyone were very wary of me.
Okay. But somebody like Beyonce used to charge even her relatives and guests $5 each to perform in front of them. So did you think about making it to a profession then?
Definitely not.
Okay. But who inspired you to dance?
Well, there are quite a few people. I can't pinpoint one person. My parents have been very supportive. My dance gurus, my, I think, peer pressure also.
Okay.
So,
Who are the peers?
right from my school to my fellow artists in my classes, to my sister.
Were you in an atmosphere where you were initiated or inspired to get into this art form?
Yes, definitely. My family, I have a family filled with artists.
Okay.
Musicians and dancers.
There was a compulsion for you to become a dancer?
Definitely not.
Anybody was telling you, look, you need to carry on the legacy or whatever?
Definitely not.
Okay.
There's nothing like that. It's just that when I would see people perform on stage, or if I would watch a dancer learn from his or her guru, that would always inspire me, you know.
Okay.
I would see myself
Your
as a performer.
body would naturally dance to it.
Definitely.
Okay.
Music.
Sometimes people say, right, like you start swinging to the music, and that's when you know that you're born for it. and you need to have that natural rhythm in you too, because you know you cannot just train to be a dancer just because your mother is a dancer or your father is a dancer, but
you
need to have dance in you.
Yes.
Because to be able to respond naturally to the sound of music, sometimes even to the absence of music.
Yes.
Okay. So, but you just didn't stop at learning a certain kind of form of dance, but you tried almost everything from Bharatanatyam to Kathak to Odissi to Kalari to folk dance.
I'm still learning.
Contemporary dance too.
Yes, I'm still learning, and that's who I am. I love the variety which all these dance forms
because it also
offer.
gives you the freedom, so you can mix and match it. Never be loyal to one form.
Not necessarily. I like each and every art form I've learned. I've respected people who've taught me that. And I think each one has its own authenticity and brilliance. But my style, I would love to have a movement vocabulary which is my own.
Okay.
And that triggers from just an instinctive feel.
But that vocabulary needs to be understood by your audience, right?
Yes, very much.
But that's very important, because most often people are stuck in their own dance languages. They may not actually be open to understanding a new language.
See, at the end, dance depends a lot on the performer. And I think dancing is a universal language, whether it's classical, whether it's folk, martial art, anything, you know. So what an audience wants to see is how the dancer has learnt or is dancing on stage or off stage, and what they want to see is how much enjoyment and a dialogue they can have with the performer.
Is it more important that, you know, as an individual audience opposed to a mass audience, how they respond and react in their own ways? Because ultimately, you know, I mean, it's not just a form. It's like whether you like it or not. I mean, whether you can respond to it or not, whether you accept it or not.
Yes,
is that a big question too for a person like you? Because who would find?
I think our dancing, what we practice in Nritya, my company, I would say it does not have a particular target of audience. We've performed in festivals where we've had shopkeepers to people walking on the streets to artists to extremely elite sitting and watching us.
Okay.
And we've had, of course, different opinions and interesting
Comments.
yes, comments, but I think I would hate to target and brand my work as it belongs to this particular sect of the society.
But do you also need an educated, aware, informed audience?
No.
Because sometimes
I
it could be
don't.
very tiring when you watch people not actually appreciating what you do. And that could be very subjective, because it's not that your dance is not good, or people aren't appreciating that form of art or that kind of dance.
It is very subjective, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it comes with education. Art is so
Like you have something
instinctive
like dance
in people.
appreciation and all that. Do you actually
No,
need to
I-
appreciate something, or you just can watch?
Yeah, you don't need to get educated in that at all. I mean, I think like folk dances for that matter, it's so much inborn in people. So you don't need to get trained to appreciate it. People watch us and they say, it's great. I mean, like I said, I had in this festival in Mumbai, we had a person selling tea, at the end, who came and who had really interesting nuances of our dance which he noticed, and who spoke to us. So
Okay.
I don't think it comes only with education.
Okay, but even the most complicated dance also, I mean, in terms of its movements or the language, was patronized by people. So it was not like, it happened within the four walls of a room or whatever. So ultimately it was all for people. So I'm sure that, any form may have developed only because of people's appreciation and encouragement. So
Yes.
there's nothing like you can say there is something that people understand and don't.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so, but you're basically into contemporary dance,
Yes.
aren't you?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, that's me.
You
There
start-
isn't a logical reason behind this, Deepak. I mean, I wouldn't say I consciously said, now I'm going to do contemporary dancing after my classical training. I enjoy dancing the way
because
we do.
it's more free.
There are more reasons than that. I mean, there are a lot of themes which I wanted to experiment on and have no boundaries when I'm
But
dancing.
storytelling becomes more difficult with contemporary dance, right?
Well,
Because
sometimes it can be just technical dancing, not
Yeah.
necessarily a narrative element needs to be added to it.
sometimes it's like installation art.
Yeah, very much.
But you need a very patient and sympathetic audience for that.
Well, that's a misconception, but I think a patient audience would help anyone.
But you may actually get a lot more appreciation abroad.
Also, I'll be careful in saying that, because we recently presented our work in an international festival in London. We had about 2,000, 3,000 odd people watching us at the Trafalgar Square. So we were really surprised. We took extremely Indian thematic presentations there, and they were really so appreciative that we were honored and floored by their comments.
Okay, but calling it contemporary dance, how appropriate is it? Because this word has been used, abused, and
Yes, I think it's a
reused,
very,
because I don't think that it's so contemporary anymore.
Well,
From
yes, it's a,
70s onwards to 2007, you're using the same. So
I
contemporary
agree.
to what?
It's a very broad genre under which we all fall into, because every contemporary dance company, I think, has such a distinctive style, and it's frankly a shame that we all come under the same umbrella. But yes, we are still exploring. Some of them call their work post-traditional, some of them call just creative dancing. So there are individuals who are going on to different bracketing of
How
their
do you
vocabulary.
respond to this allegation that people who cannot dance the traditional way go into contemporary dancing, because that's easier to do because there's nobody to question?
Oh, definitely not easier to do. That's funny, because I haven't heard anyone tell me that.
May not to you, be to you. But it's all started with Isabella Duncan.
Yes,
Okay.
Isadora.
Isadora Duncan. Okay.
and Uday Shankar in
India.
India.
Okay.
Yes. But there are quite a few patrons, and it's all started off more or less in the same simultaneously. So we can't really pinpoint one individual. And it's the same even now, you know, there's so many individuals who are propagating Indian contemporary work.
But the most important thing about contemporary dancing is that you need to have the right kind of music. Is it so, or sometimes you can also dance without music?
Yes,
And
very
I think
much.
you just stretch the limits of, you keep pushing the limits of dancing, right? So it's by itself a kind of evolutionary aspect that you provide for dance itself, like
I think
everything
for an
changes. So I
artist
think
itself,
somewhere you need to push the boundaries.
I think it's for the artist itself, and yes, we ourselves have experimented without music. You know, we've done this dance piece totally in silence, and the whole idea was to see whether our movement vocabulary, our movements could captivate the audience, and for how long, without a rhythm, without any sound complementing it. And yes, we danced for 10 minutes and it worked just fine. And I think it's more than challenging others, it's exploring and challenging oneself as an artist, not
The
just
same
as a
thing about
dancer.
even painting too. Most of the best abstract painters are the people who have been trained in proper painting techniques, and only then it's not just one day you wake up and you become a contemporary dancer. Like, you go through the rigors and the regimen of learning traditional dancing techniques, and then you actually experiment. Is it actually somewhere that urge to liberate yourself that results in this kind of
I can't generalize and speak for everyone, because
what happened with you?
with me, I did a lot of classical training and I enjoyed it, but every time I heard an instrumental piece, the way I would rather express myself was very different. You know, that's when I started
Some people
questioning.
even say that, you know, the stage is the canvas and the body becomes the brush, and you paint the dance all over.
You said it for me then.
Okay. But something like this is not possible without sympathetic family members.
Not
and,
sympathetic, but rather supportive families.
no, it's not just somebody who supports, but also they need to understand and feel with you, and, you know,
Yes.
okay, say, okay, fine, I mean, we are with you, and we'll take whatever it comes to ensure that you become a dancer like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, my parents have always said, you do whatever you want. I mean, even if I wasn't a dancer and I was doing something else, they wouldn't actually stop me from it.
No, the urge to become an artist, it's not something that everybody understands when it is in a person, and as opposed to somebody who may believe in some traditional forms of art and things like that. So do you think that it is not sufficient that you have the urge in you or you have the fire in you, but unless you get the right kind of support, that somebody like you cannot actually achieve anything at all?
I think more than others, it first begins with you understanding your own needs, you know. I find that in a lot of youngsters who have the talent, but who don't have the courage to take up not just dance, but art as a profession. You know,
because it's
they
not
wanted,
very promising.
but yes, they don't have enough
unless
support.
you have a rich father or a rich husband, or, you know, very
No,
understanding
that's not
mother
the
and
case.
a family. I mean, that's the idea, but I think anybody can achieve if
Yes,
you really
where
have
there's
the
a
verve
will,
and the
there's a
zest.
way, and I think one just needs to have a daring spirit.
Were you one of those fortunate ones?
No,
Why do you say so?
I'm fortunate in terms of people standing by me in my decision to be a dancer.
Not your father saying that, okay, my daughter, do anything you want, I'll support you.
Well, they put in a right kind of value in us, telling us, me and my sister, that no matter what you do, you need to support yourself.
Okay.
We'll be there for you, but you have to take up the responsibility. And I think that's very important for an individual to.
Were you named after seeing your potential to dance
No.
Mayuri the peacock?
No.
Right.
I didn't start dancing as soon as I.
Right, such an apt name, right?
Yeah, I'm lucky.
Okay, but what kind of support did you get from your mother? Was she also a dancer? Or was
She's
she
not a
interested in
dancer,
dance?
but she's very much inclined towards dancing. And she made sure that we would watch the right performances. And
you also got the right training from the right people.
yes,
That way too,
my
you're quite
gurus are-
fortunate.
yes.
Because, and you learned colory. Why? Because nowadays it's fashionable for people to learn colory, right? If they want to get into.
Well, see, classical training has given me a lot of aesthetic sense and good theoretical knowledge. It's given me a lot of style, grace, but at the same time I wanted to explore a more dynamic and aggressive side of me. And I think martial art was the answer to it, which is why we, in our company as well, and I individually have trained in Kalari and in Taekwondo.
Is it important for a person to have a face like yours or eyes like yours, because you need to be very expressive and like a face which is prominent, and for a dancer to express things and things like that, or anybody can dance? Because like you have these stereotypes also, like normally dancers have, even when you paint them, the eyes are quite prominent, large, and face also very well etched and all that, and you need to be photogenic.
Well, I think on stage it's a totally different chemistry altogether.
Okay.
You can have stage presence even though you're short, but I think it's that magic which one has within
What does
themselves.
it actually take for one to become a good dancer? Apart
Great
from
deal
learning
of
dance.
I think great deal of guts. One needs to have the courage and will to face any challenge which is thrown upon you.
And it's a cutthroat field, isn't it?
Lots, yeah.
And people don't like to be
But
criticized.
which field isn't?
No, but people don't like to be criticized. They don't want to be written badly about in the newspaper. So even many people don't even write critiques about these dance performances, lest they earn more enemies than friends.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes, artists are very moody, and I think
Is it because
dancers
they're
are.
very sensitive?
Yes, we are very sensitive, very emotional.
And you don't have the right to tell them they're not good if they're not good.
No, that's
many
not
people
true.
take such offense.
Really? Okay. Maybe it's the way
Maybe you're one of them.
maybe it's the way it's told, but I've met a lot of them who rather take criticism very positively.
But don't you think it's extremely important that you listen to what your audience say?
Yes.
Isn't it
Very,
so?
very important.
And every dance is just another step.
Well, it's different for each one. You can't merely say it's another step. Maybe it's something more than a step for an individual, I mean.
Okay. But you cannot just take every dance the same way. Like I've
See,
danced the
when-
same dance 100 times and they're all the same. I don't think so.
I think when a choreographer creates a dance piece, or when the dancer dances, they kind of, more than just creating movements, you emotionally get attached to it. You have to believe in yourself and your idea which needs to be brought out. Without that faith in your work, it's not going to work on stage or off stage or in your rehearsal, anything.
It's more important whether you support yourself, you believe in yourself, than whether your family supports, whether the audience likes.
Yes, it starts off with that, but the rest of the support definitely matters. And when someone criticizes you, I think it's the way it's worded which is what will matter. I don't think
And
all the
greater
artists
challenge
have.
is also in contemporary dancing is that
Yes.
sometimes your dance is devoid of the accessories, the makeup, and the costumes, and sometimes at least in the other forms, people can be diverted towards looking at so many other things on the stage than even the performer himself or herself. But in contemporary dancing, the whole concentration sometimes is on the performer.
In my case, and I think in a lot of Indian contemporary dance companies, we do give importance to costumes, the presentation, and the.
You do that?
Yes, I think in the West it's more dancing in very
Using
elementary
just
costumes.
the body sometimes.
Yes, but us even with the technicality, we see to it that aharya, that is the costume aspect and the properties, have a lot of Indian elements added to it.
Okay, sometimes these days contemporary dancing is more in association with other forms of art.
Yes,
some kind of
that's again
symbiosis
another
that
way of
takes place,
exploring.
yeah.
And
But have you been doing all that?
yes, we have also done a lot of collaborations. And
Would you rather be a choreographer or a performer?
choreographer.
You like to see others perform in your,
Yes.
under your training or in your hands?
More than that, it's the idea which needs to come out and take birth in others. So that whole process of triggering inspiration and boosting up another dancer's abilities is, I think, a challenge which
From
I would love to
spinning of
take
the
up.
spheres, the cosmic spheres, to everything from atom to protons, everything dancing. Do you believe that the whole world is a dance? there is dance in
Yes.
everything.
I think, yeah, dances are the very reason for space.
Yeah? Okay. And that is where actually a contemporary dancer tries to see, you know, dance in everything. And
I
tries
think
to
a dancer tries to see, not just a contemporary dancer, yeah. I think every artist for that matter.
Okay. Your husband is a musician.
Yeah.
Do you work together?
Yes, he does a lot of music for my company as well.
You have performed in a lot of countries, in the US, in the UK.
US, UK, Singapore, UAE.
Okay. And what's the difference between performing here and there? I mean, is it better that you do something that they like there, or you
No, we
show
take
them
the
something
same
that
work.
you think they need to watch? Or
We show them who we are. We don't necessarily choreograph sequences specifically for the Western audience or anything like that. But yeah, the reaction is very different depending on each country we've performed at. And I think the best is the UK. Yes, they're very well educated, they're very rich culturally, and they would love to see Indian art.
do you
It's
also
just blossoming
sometimes,
there.
you know,
Yeah.
have this Indian artist burden that, you know, oh, as an Indian, I need to promote my culture abroad. So, you know,
I
whether
wouldn't
the others
say-
like it or not, I need to impose it on them. And,
No,
you
no,
know,
no, I wouldn't
say that
say
mine is
it's
the best in the
burden.
world. So please see it.
I think it's a pleasure to be, I'm proud to be an Indian, and that shows in
And
my
you believe
work.
that the whole world needs to like it, whether they like it
No,
or
not necessarily at all, but
But
yes,
don't
I
you
do
think that some
showcase a lot
actually
of,
do that sometimes?
I haven't met anything, so I'm not going to
You're
say.
being very careful. Very careful. Nobody's going to write about it, don't worry.
No, no,
Okay.
I mean, I haven't met anyone who's trying to impose their Indianness or,
Okay.
so, and
You could
whoever
have been an
has,
actress. Did
Okay.
you not try?
no.
Do you act on stage? Do you, because it's not just dance, because dance, drama,
Well, I've never done
everything
theatre.
evolving from
No,
one
I
to the
haven't. But we did
So you're
this
completely
interesting.
involved in this,
Yeah, it's full time.
yeah?
I've
So
been
you're
in
even
this.
choreographing something now.
Yeah, we're doing this new production, which is to be premiered in Bangalore in Jan.
Okay, what's it called?
It's called Prayog. It's a home production where we have our choreographers, company choreographers, who come up with very experimental themes. So it's art for art's sake. So we have.
how many people work with you?
Well, in the company we are 8 dancers, and we also have a lot of dancers who do part-time dancing with
Do you
us.
believe that children in schools need to be sensitized towards art forms like dance and music?
I think so, yes.
So
I
are you
think
doing anything with children?
we have a kids performing
It's
unit as
easier
well.
to get to be trained, so because at least the parents would push them to go somewhere. Easy performers sometimes, correct?
No, but
When an adult comes and performs, I think to keep a job aside or leave something and sacrifice something, because it's not easy at all to
it's
dedicate
definitely
your
not
life
easy.
to performing arts.
But I
Like
think,
you said, it takes courage.
yeah, it takes.
It's not just courage. I think that to
You
deny
also
a lot
have
of
to-
things in life, because correct.
Yeah, but I think that's the whole pleasure also, you know. So we all have to have a business development skill as an artist as well. You can't just say, I have the talent, so God will take care of me. I'll just...
You need to see the commercial viability of your...
Yes, and you need to know how you need to represent yourself and the people around who are with you, so that we don't, it's not like we'll go and perform anywhere or everywhere, you know. You need to know where to perform, with whom, how to present yourself, what exactly you're doing. So you need to answer a whole lot of questions yourself first, clarify, and then go about dealing with it.
How important is publicity for a performer?
I think it's very important. You need to be...
because unless people know about you, I mean, for them to make a decision to come and spend a few hours watching you would be a risk. No, don't you think so? Because, you know, I mean, people may want to come and appreciate, but unless, who do they decide to go and watch?
We don't have to necessarily be on every page 3 or every little thing, but you need to know some kind of publicity. I mean, if you're a dancer, you have
because so many years of dedicated work, and after that, you know, I mean, you put something together and you don't have the right audience. I think there can be nothing more painful than that.
And the right kind of audience doesn't necessarily come only through publicity, you know. It's a lot of word to mouth. You do a good show, then you'll make, I mean, people will make sure by telling the others or to the right kind of section, so that you get another show. Well, that's how we started off too, and a publicity whole thing is added on to this, more than that being the whole
your
reason for
organization
your...
is called Nritya.
Yes, it's called Nritya.
Okay, means dance branching out into other things.
Nritya the Taru, that means like a tree, it's branching out through dance.
Okay. So was started in 2000?
Yes, 7-year-old now.
Okay, so how successful have you been in running this company?
I think I'm very successful because it's not just money or performances, but it's a sense of satisfaction, which is very important for me to call myself successful. And I think the people who are working in collaboration with me also, irrespective of the stress levels, to the challenges, to the hours of rehearsals or anything which comes our way, we're very happy at the end of the day, and we go home and have a good night's sleep, and that's a big criteria for my yes, that's true.
So you're happy with the path that you've chosen?
Very much.
You know that this was your calling and you answered it.
Yeah.
Mayuri Upadhya, thank you very much for having come to this show.
Thank you.